Welcome to another edition of Cleanpin, guys. We're picking up, having 2 episodes of Cleanpin this week. We're picking up the wrestling news from where we left off, as there was quite a bit of wrestling news that I wanted to get into. Check out the prior video. I'm going to link it here. I left you guys talking about the revival. Are they staying? Are they going with, where are they going? WWE, AEW, NWA, nowhere. Who knows? A lot of rumors and speculations and things along that line. But one person that we do know is coming to the WWE's in the Performance Center now. Well, I don't know if he's actually in the Performance Center now. Soon to be in the Performance Center, Killer Kross. You remember him from Impact Wrestling, a local guy here from the, in and around the New York area, New York wrestling scene, East Coast wrestling scene. Killer Kross. And I think, Killer Kross, he's about 35 years old right now. About 35. Right? So, with Killer Kross, for you guys that are not familiar with Killer Kross, I think is going to tear it up. He's going to tear it up. Guy has a nice, he looks the part. He looks scary. He looks intimidating. And, the one thing about Killer Kross is his promo. When you listen to his promo, it's on another level. You listen to it. It's like slow, slow with a purpose. It makes you think. Makes you scared. It's almost like a Jake the Snake, type of feel to it. His promos. Even like Bray Wyatt before his character change. When you're saying before the second reincarnation, as you see now, Killer Kross is a very good promo, and hopefully he's 35, so he has some good years still ahead of him. But I think they could, hopefully they're able to fast track him onto the main roster. I think he would definitely be able to help. He has a lot of experience. He's actually real life couple of with Scarlett Bordeaux. So that couple could make some noise. They could definitely make some noise. I don't know, like a Bonnie and Clyde type of pairing. I don't know, but they could definitely make some noise. Scarlett has the look; she could definitely wrestle too. Smoke Show. How can you forget the Smoke Show? Right? Maybe like a Chris Candido, Sunny type of, I don't know, just thinking out loud type of a pairing. You're probably, not, he's called Killer Kross, so I don't think you're going to have him, you're not going to have that name Killer on PG TV, so I think the name is going to get changed a bit here. Hopefully it won't be some wacky name that he's going to be given in, Joe Schmo Schlep, or, Schlep Rogers or something. Hopefully he does not get a wacky, cheesy name. But Killer Cross, that's a good thing, and good thing to come with Killer Cross on being signed to WWE. Speaking of names, Ryback made a public plea to get his name back. Well, not his name. It's, what happened is, I believe he changed his name legally to Ryback, and he thought that, okay, that would be it, and he would be able to use that name. Well, that's his legal name now, but that name, prior to that, I know I'm probably fumbling the story, that name was trademarked. I mean, what can you say? It sucks, right? I mean, it sucks, because the guy is trying to make a living using his name that he's known by in Ryback. But the WWE trademarked the name. And, he's been, going to court and spending, I think he said, $200,000 to try to fix this. And he's still going back and forth with the court. I mean, here's the thing, right? And it sucks. And WWE, I'm sure, if maybe they liked him a little bit better, they would just give it up and be like, all right, use the name. But the thing is, you signed a contract. You knew this was with everything prior that was happening. You knew that this would most likely be the route that would be going with the Ryback name and it being trademarked. So I'm sure you knew that was coming. And in all honesty, the reason why people, wrestling fans, know the name of Ryback is because it had the WWE machine behind it. And and I'm sure they still make money off of that name, and DVD sales and things along that line, because it was a popular character. So I mean, listen, it's like you knew what you signed that this would happen. Maybe he could have trademarked. Maybe you could, I don't know, use a variation of the name, and it's not similar, it's close to it. Maybe that's the alternative. And who am I? I'm sure he thought about that too, but that's a no-go. That doesn't make sense. That's not what he wants. It sucks, but I mean, it's something that was signed, and and now they're just playing hardball because they don't really necessarily like the guy. So it sucks, but I mean, technically, WWE is not at fault. There's another rumor and speculation here circling the webs here, the interweb, that there's a conflict of what match should go on last. The confirmed match is Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre The speculated match from SmackDown is Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Vince McMahon wants The Fiend, Drew McIntyre, The Fiend, Roman Reigns to go on last. Paul Heyman wants Drew McIntyre, Brock Lesnar to go on last. Right, so, I don't know. I thought if you're the second to last match, it's like co-main event. I mean, ain't that, I mean, it's the same, it's your second to last match. It's like the co-main event. I always thought that it would, to me, whoever, whatever is the hot storyline that people have a gravitate to is really what's the main event, right? So though on paper you're not the last match, if that's the match that everyone's talking about, then, and you're second to last match, well, in my eyes, you're probably the main event. But I guess that's not the way it works. For bragging rights, I'm sure each wants their own specific person to be the last match. So that's why Paul Heyman is going for Drew, and Vince McMahon going for The Fiend. To me, it doesn't matter. I could see it being bragging rights, but what I think you have to remember here too, and maybe why Vince feels the way he does, and why he maybe wants to put on Roman Reigns and The Fiend last, is because I think it's a matter of trust, right? He knows, he trusts Roman Reigns because he's been a top guy for quite some time, and he trusts The Fiend because, well, what he's done and the buzz that he's been able to generate. So I'm sure that's why there is such a, I'm sure it has to do with, that's part of it. It has to do with the perception and trust. Trust is a big thing. Let's be honest. Drew McIntyre, you're getting a vote of confidence, of course, by winning the Royal Rumble. But does Vince really know Drew McIntyre? I mean, these coming weeks will be telling. Can he continue to garner some type of connection with the fans now that he's a face? Because before then, let's be honest, Drew McIntyre, the personality, it was really hard to find the personality. Just in the coming weeks, that's when things have been unfolding for Drew McIntyre, right? So you think about that, and it could be a question of, again, remember, Drew McIntyre was in 3MB not too long ago. So I think Vince is giving that response, or Vince maybe is feeling that way because what he knows is Roman Reigns. What he knows is The Fiend, who's been crushing it last couple of weeks. His merch been selling off the shelves. He doesn't know Drew McIntyre. And, it's going to be up to Drew McIntyre to make his presence felt. He's given the ball, and now it's up to him to continue to make that run in WrestleMania season. And then maybe you could change old man McMahon's his thoughts about you. Justin Roberts did an interview And he was talking, now that he's with AEW, he's been talking about some of the main differences between AEW and WWE. He says AEW is a lot more relaxed. You go in Tuesday for a meeting. Wednesday you do the taping. You kind of, it's a fun atmosphere, he says, and then afterwards, after the tapings, everyone is hanging out. It's all fun and games, it's very, very loose, very laid back. And, he said that WWE is like a grind. You constantly, look, and that's, the main thing when you take those comments and you look at them, it's a different way of running things, right? Doesn't mean that one way is bad compared to the other. Just a different way of looking at things. Vince McMahon is looking at this as a business. That's why everything is so tightly ran. Because he has a lot of responsibilities, and he knows, he has responsibilities to his stockholders, his shareholders, and he knows that he has to deliver, because a lot of people are counting on him. His success rides on him being successful. For him to have you might say, for him to have a slip up is not as I'm sure he'll be okay, but I'm sure he does not accept mistakes. Right now, with AEW, it's a small company, a small organization, and really there's not a lot of stake. Don't get me wrong, there's money in stake. You don't want to mess up, you don't want to fail, you want to continue to improve, but it's a whole different level of success. It's a whole different level of atmosphere, obviously, of environment. They don't have a lot of responsibilities now. They're not on the road every single for the majority of the week. They don't do house shows. It's a lot less at stake, in my honest opinion. But, even in real life, when you go to the bigger companies who work for, let's say, a Chase Bank, as opposed to Community Bank ABC on your local block, you're going to see the difference. And Chase Bank is a lot stricter than ABC Bank, which is partying all the time. To continue to be successful with that much overhead, that many employees, that many things to do, you need a certain structure. And right now, AEW is in the beginning stages. They're not on the road all the time. So it's kind of everyone does whatever they want, as long as it makes sense, and be yourself. But once the company is around a little bit longer and they have certain obligations, then I think you will definitely see the ship be a little bit tighter than what it is now. So definitely I think look out for that. There was talk that Chris Jericho is also very vocal and creative. Saying what works, what doesn't work. And that's good for Jericho. You need Jericho to put his 2 cents in for creative. look at Jericho, man. Jericho has just completely been able to reinvent himself over and over again. To this version of Jericho that you have now, Le Champion, to the Jericho that was wearing the suit and the tie, to the Jericho with the light-up jacket, to the Jericho with the list and the scarf. So he's constantly, he had long hair, then short hair, then short hair, then long hair, he's constantly reinventing himself and is staying relevant. So a guy like that, seems that whatever he touches, he's very successful. And it's only fitting that you have a guy like that, and you have his approval, you have his 2 cents, because he could, a lot of these people, especially too, they haven't been on TV. There's no TV deals on the indies for the most part. So being on TV is a whole different thing. Week in and week out, you got to know where to be in the ring, where the camera is at all times, and Jericho will help you with that. It will definitely help you with that. Cesaro was talking about his connection with grouping with Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn. Where he's Cesaro is the serious guy, Sammy is the wacky guy, and Shin is just a cool guy. Cesaro, he's just one of these guys that everyone was clamoring for him to be a world's champion. I just don't think it's going to happen for Cesaro. I mean, he's been tag champion, but hasn't even held any individual championships. I mean, they start something with him. The We the People pairing with Jack Swagger, that stopped. He was a Paul Heyman guy, that stopped. He had the Cesaro section that started, stopped. You had the bar that started, stopped. I might argue that the bar could have gone even further. Heck knows that you need more tag teams. I mean, the tag team division is weak, so that stopped and started. And Cesaro is a beast, very muscular, very strong. I remember with him and Chris Hero, and it's just never, for whatever reason, Cesaro didn't really. Like he was starting to connect with the audience, and then they take that away from him. And now he's kind of again, in limbo. Then there's stages where he's in limbo, and he's really he's in limbo. He was in limbo before he kind of went along with this grouping, and, there he is. So, it's been, it's weird for Cesaro, honestly. Really weird, and him being champion, I don't think is happening now for him, unfortunately. So, just wanted to give you my couple of cents there extra as we went overtime. We went about another 25 minutes. So you have 2 episodes of Clean Pin for this week. I hope all is well, guys. Do check out my videos. We'll talk very, very soon. Leave me any questions, any comments. And here I go to the gym. Hope all is well.